I'd like to call this meeting to order.
Did Duke lose 2 in a row?
Ed, when you have a minute, we're going to start.
What's it, the Kentucky? They just stay 1 year, play ball, and then they leave, right? I wonder how you recruit them.
You recruit them by saying, if you come here, you're going to be a top draft choice.
We'll just run through the agenda. Are there any public comments? And I think I know that we will wait on the finance report until Rick gets here.
Public comment?
Yes, public comment?
I went to the cafeteria when they offered that, and I got to tell you, that's a very impressive deal. You got a lot of choices. You can eat about whatever you want. There's all kind of healthy choices, and if you can't find something to eat there, I'd find that hard to believe. I was very impressed.
Well, that is great. Just to inform people, I missed it, I could think, on my email, but I guess that last Friday, the kitchen was open to board members. Is that right, Dave? Mm-hmm. To board members for a free meal, and I don't know how many people.
Because it was all redone, that's why.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all redone.
Okay. Well, I don't know how many people took advantage of it, but from what Dave has said, and it must have been a very successful presentation and good food. I've picked up food there. It is very good. Okay, we can move on then to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody would like to discuss?
I think we should have the clerks and thank you to the 2 retirement. I don't know if you did it, I missed the one in December. All the other senior teachers that retired, thank them for all the years of service they've done for the kids of Bennington and outlying areas.
Very good. Rob?
Yep.
Very good. We thank you. Excuse me? Dave, did you have something? Okay, I think that makes sense. Are there any other questions on the consent agenda? We can move on there to our administrator's report.
We didn't vote.
You went fast.
We got to vote. We got to vote on that consent agenda.
You want me to go?
I thought we did. Okay,
Yeah.
we did.
We did. Okay.
Okay.
missed that.
All right, sorry, we missed it. All those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? We're down at the
So I can
principal's
go?
report. Yes, go ahead, Sue.
Okay, so
Thanks.
Morgan's passing out the recent Messenger,
Thank you.
which is our school newspaper that was in the banner a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to give each of you one so you could take a look at it if you didn't see it. I don't know what Morgan's going to say here. Are you going to talk about the end of the semester? Or? Okay. So I'll let you do that. She'll talk about the end of the semester. We also had our students go to get whether or not they get accepted into the New England Music Festival this past weekend, and we had 5 chorus members, Tim Downs, Garrett DeRosia, Sebastian Durfee, Brandon Olson, Connor Tilley, and 2 band members, Kevin Gorey and Nadine Morgan, that were all accepted. They're going to go into the New England Music Festival, which is in Keene, New Hampshire, I believe in March. We had it at our place last year. So that was pretty nice. We had 7 kids. And are you going to talk about Troy's? Yes. Okay. And we also had a wrestler, Troy Gassaway, who just hit his 200 match win, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So I'll leave it. We didn't talk before. Usually we did talk. So I don't want to take away any of your thunder if you have other things. What were you going to talk about?
I was just going to talk about the end of the semester.
Okay.
Okay, well, good. Morgan will
good.
wait. We'll
Can
wait. And if she leaves something out, you can jump back in again.
Can she go and finish and then Tim will go?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the high school right now is at the end of their first semester, so today and tomorrow are finals, or midterms rather. So the pressure's kind of on there for everyone. And then next month, the Interact Club, which is the Rotary Community Service Club at the high school, is going to Nicaragua over February break, and I'm going.
Good.
And right now we're preparing to go, so we're like collecting aid materials and stuff from Bennington and Manchester and surrounding communities. And people are like getting their anti-malaria vaccinations and stuff, and we're preparing to go, and everyone's pretty excited about that. And students from like all grades go, so it's a really great trip.
How many students go?
We have like 25, I think, going, and then there's chaperones too.
What will you do once you get there?
We will go every 2 years, and 2 years ago I didn't go, but a couple of my friends did, and I heard a lot about it. And they did they helped painting buildings and cleaning
Schools.
up supplies and helping in schools. And they brought medical supplies and helped out there, and they just do a lot of projects to help the people in Nicaragua and clean up. And
Do you have a sponsor there? I mean, someone who set an agenda for you once you arrive, or you just, what
It's the
happens?
sister city, right?
yeah,
of
Nicaragua's
Somatillo.
Somatillo is the sister city of Bennington.
Mhm.
And Mr. Lucy, who runs the Interact Club and is a counselor at the high school, he runs it and plans everything.
Well, it sounds exciting. And how is that financed? I mean, how does the money,
We get certain donations from the Catamount Rotary Club donated, and if you work a certain number of hours at booster club events at the high school, you get, for every hour you work, you get $10 towards your trip. And the students pay to go, but there's a lot of ways that you can work down what you have to pay.
Oh,
So
that's
it's not
great.
as expensive.
well, that sounds interesting. Do you have more, or
That's all.
does anybody have any questions for Morgan?
I think she should do a presentation
Yeah,
in
oh,
May.
very good. Yeah, I think,
Pictures and come,
yeah. It's a great experience.
It really is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I bet you are. Tim?
Just a couple of things for the good of the community. We have a presenter who is at school this week talking to all of our students. And last night was available for a presentation to parents, which was lightly attended, and that was too bad. The topic is a group called Technicool, and it's sponsored by Prevent Childhood Abuse in Vermont. And the idea was talking to parents about strategies and to students during the school day on how to be safe using technology. And wearing my parent hat last night as a parent of 2 middle schoolers, lots of things that they put out there that parents probably are not aware of as kids are using apps and programs that I don't use, like Snapchat, which, just for a little information for the community, is an application that the presenter talked about, and I'm familiar with it. It allows you to take a picture and send it to somebody, and the appealing piece of it is that the picture is supposed to disappear in about 5 seconds after the person receives it. So it's kind of an instant message, and then it goes. But Snapchat, for parents at home who are listening to this or might read about this, has some of the worst security of any app in the internet, and it is hacked on an average of 4 to 5 times a year. So all those pictures that your kids are taking on Snapchat are being scooped up by hackers who then make public announcements of where they will post them, and people go and collect them. The unfortunate thing is that experts feel that Snapchat is used for about 60 to 70% of the sexting cases. So a lot of the pictures are inappropriate and underage. So just something to think about as I sit there with an 8th grader and a 6th grader. And just the kind of the main message was, talking to your kids often, being involved, supervising, and having a conversation about how to keep themselves safe while using the internet. And as a parent, having to realize that you're going to continually have to learn about where your kids are going and meeting people and communicating on social media. So I'm still stuck in the Facebook phase, so I'm a little bit behind where my kids are.
Tim, before you move on to something else, do we do anything through our computer programs, or Sue too, to make the students aware of the potential danger of any of these programs? I mean, do we make a conscious effort to let the kids know that there is nothing really confidential about the communications that you take part in?
Yeah, I mean, we start at the start of the school year because we have a one-to-one initiative in the building, and every kid has a Chromebook, which is an internet-capable device. We talk about the internet is forever, and be aware of what you're putting out there and what you're going to look for. And we also talk, with parents through our handbook about our expectations.
Excuse me, Rick, why don't we wait that? pass that out when he's through, thanks.
So we do have those conversations with kids about how to be safe. And also in the 6th grade here, students take a library class, and part of that curriculum, Ms. Lanou talks about being safe and how you use the technology appropriately. In fact, my 6-year-old driving home last night, she had the fortune to sit with Dad and listen to the presentation for a second time. Said, you know, we hear a lot of this in the library class already, which is a good thing to hear, that we're saying it repeatedly to kids. Just 2 other things quickly for informing the board. The interim, the midpoint of trimester 2 has passed, and so there will be an automatic phone call going to homes this weekend, just encouraging parents to get on the portal and check out their kids' progress. I'll also give a number of days left in the trimester so that they're aware of when grades will close for the 2nd trimester. The other thing is that we have been working very consistently at the middle school for the last 3 months, myself and a group of teachers and Morgan, putting together the middle school's application for the 21st Century Grant. I know that's been in the newspaper, and I know it's been a discussion piece at the BSD level. Our hope is that we are successful in our application, and that we will then turn over ours to the BSD for next year, and it'd be a template for the elementary schools to apply for the 21st Century Grant as kind of an elementary link to the middle school as far as the grant application. It has proven to be a challenge, a learning opportunity every time we get together, but I think if we can figure out a way to be successful, it'll make it easier for the elementary schools next year.
Tim, could you just explain briefly what that grant is, the 21st Century Grant?
Sure. The 21st Century Grant, thank you, it is a federal grant. It is focused on providing safe, engaging after-school and summer programming for kids, and in order to extend the school day, because the research shows that the hours of 3 to 6 and your summer are pretty unstructured, and this is especially when middle school age kids start experimenting with some of the more risky behaviors. So if you can offer them high quality supervised programming at school, you have a better chance of engaging them in school. And we are a returning applicant, so what we are asking is building on what the MAU board has supported this year and last year, a line item in our budget to provide, you know, some programming. We're asking the federal government to match that.
Would the Mosaic program fall into that general?
Absolutely. That is the name of our after-school program, the Mosaic program.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. Any questions for Tim or Sue or Morgan? Rick, excuse me, Ed. Go ahead.
Just a comment to echo your comments on Snapchat. NPR had a report on that a few months ago that I listened to, and they thought it was a great program. And what you've said doesn't bear that out, and I think we ought to pay attention to you.
And what's going on in the schools with the kids, I agree, with Tim.
Because the very first, you introduced that subject by saying that you went to a presentation and it was poorly attended?
It was lightly attended. There was a handful of families there last night.
And is it, and I guess I didn't catch, is it something that is going to be repeated, or is it, this is a one and done?
No, as a part, it is free of charge. Technical comes to campus and they do a presentation. So they've been presenting in the middle school Tuesday, Wednesday, and tomorrow as well. They'll cover all the classes. We've been breaking them down in teams. But as part of them coming, they also offer a parent evening. And so we had posted that up on our Facebook page, and we had done a robocall last week. We're in the height of the winter season. Sports are going on. It's a busy time for folks. There's glacial ice out in the parking lot. There's a number of reasons why folks, you know, might choose not to come out. But we're hoping we'll just keep creating opportunities and inviting folks to come on campus.
Certainly is a current issue. Fine, if there are no other questions, we'll go back to the finance report. Rick, I know, has some pass-outs for us. We have the treasurer's report. We just need to accept that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very good. It's done. Now, let Rick pass the information out before.
Apologize for being late. Jim sends his regrets. He's in Pownell still, and he'll be here as quickly as possible. What I'm passing out is the latest version of the budget. For those of you that have seen prior versions, it is down considerably, and there's three main reasons, actually probably sole reasons it is reduced further. Is the VSU assessments are final, and we received lower workers' compensation rates than we had originally planned on, and the CDC reduced their budget some, which translated to yours to the tune of about $26,000. If you look at, I'm assuming we're not going to go through this in detail.
No, we're not.
We've been doing that at the budget
Right.
meetings.
Yes.
If you look at the back page, you see the line that says grand total for MAU budget. You go all the way to the right, you see 268. What that says, my eyes are
Yep.
used to be. What you've been seeing there, that number came down to 1.93 as a result of all those reductions. And then what brought it back up is that the new lease agreement that we have with the CDC, it raised the operating expenses $215,000. And if you look on the first page, it is offset by a rent, which is fifth or sixth line down. There's actually a typo there. That should be 215, not 16. So it's a net sum zero to the tax rate as far as Mount Anthony's concerned. So to compare apples to apples, you're up 1.93%, and then there's a accounting transaction, for lack of a better description, that increases both the revenues and the expenses. It's a net wash to the taxpayer to the tune of $215,000 for the CDC. The second document I shipped around is the tax rates calculation for each of the member towns. You are a union district that covers 5 communities. The reason there's 6 on here is because North Bennington has 2 separate taxing districts. One of them is North Bennington proper, the other is Shasberry ID 1. And
I didn't get one.
you didn't get one of those?
Everybody got one?
Yeah.
You set a tax rate. If you look at line 7, you have a tax rate of $1.42, and let's just look at Bennington for example, it has a tax rate of $1.39. Those rates get blended together and then get adjusted for a CLA that turn into a tax rate of $1.55, basically. So this document walks you through that blending calculation, and it shows you down there at the bottom on line 14 that the communities, what they're seeing for a tax increase. These aren't final yet. Each district is doing some final tweaking. This $1,000 error I just found in your $29 million budget will be a change. It's not going to make a material difference in any of this stuff, but there will be an adjustment that I need to make there. And each community over the next week to 10 days will be finalizing these numbers, but they are very close to what they will be going forward. You're looking at Bennington at just over 3.5 cents. North Bennington's 5 cents. Shasberry ID is looking at a 10-cent increase. Pownell is looking at 3 cents. Shasberry proper is looking at 5.5 cents, and Woodford is basically flat. So you contribute proportionately to those net rates, and it shows you what the tax obligations are on a $100,000, $200,000, and $300,000 house at the bottom.
You know, there's a lot to absorb in that. Ken?
So that blended rate for Bennington is 3.6?
Yes.
Went down a little bit from 3.7?
Yeah.
The other thing is that,
And it may, and not that we're talking about BSD, but it may come down a little further because I'm currently verifying the workers' comp rates for BSD.
and the other thing is, that, again, I think I mentioned this once before, is that when you look right up at the top under Bennington, we have 852 kids, K through 5, which represents, what, 6 classes, and then we have 1164, which represents 7 classes. So when that group of kids moves through there, Bennington will be paying, their assessment will keep going down and down because we'll have less and less of the total body. Because I notice Pownell and Shasberry are going up.
Shasberry as a community as a whole is an anomaly in the state. They have a rising population. It's actually forecasted to continue for the next couple of years. Pownell, you know, ebbs and flows. You know, they'll go up one year and down the next. There's not a lot of consistency to that one. Bennington is starting to stabilize, but you're right, that, you know, that trough or that reduction, actually it started to hit the middle school a year or two ago, so it's starting to matriculate through to the high school.
Thank you for this. This is really helpful.
Does anybody have any, I know it's a lot to go through. Let's just take a look at that, a back sheet of the overall budget. Well, we can take a look at the whole budget. As Rick had indicated, we had several meetings that were finance committee meetings open to the full board, and actually the community, to go over the process of developing this budget. There were, as always, a number of questions that relate to what's happening to our schools in terms of the costs as our population goes down. And also, where do we stand in terms of our relationship with other schools in terms of student-teacher ratio and that sort of thing. And those 3 sheets that I passed out to you earlier answer some of those questions. Tim, it was really my fault. I thought that I had contacted him earlier, and he has some information. And so we have information on the middle school, which will be available to you. I just didn't get time to print it out. But if you take a look, Sue and the administration at the high school has printed out the reduction in staff that's taken place. I think Ed was one of the people that was interested in this, and Fran was interested in it, just where it is. The other 2 sheets, one represents the middle school, the other represents the high school. Gives you an idea of where we stand, those schools stand in relation to other high schools. In other words, student-teacher ratio. It's not student-teacher ratio, it's student-teacher-administrator ratio and other things. So it gives you, we'll go over this more because we'll use it as part of our promotional effort to make the public aware of what the high school and the middle school are doing in terms of their budget, and we assure the community again that we are trying to do the very best we can with the resources that are available to us. So there's just all sorts of information. In terms of the budget, this bigger sheet, it's divided into 2 sections. I really should let Rick do this. It's divided into 2 sections. One is the middle school and one is the high school. The back page combines them a little bit, and you can basically see by the headings of the columns what's happened over the last year or so, where things have come in the up or down. A lot of it, in some cases, it happens that when you see a teacher or a department going way up, it simply means that, or will go way down, it simply means that the assignment of one teacher may be combined with another discipline and so on. So it isn't all that cut and dried. Rick, are there any particular areas in this that the board members should be aware of that haven't been going to those meetings?
There is a roof replacement in here for over the cafeteria and auditorium. That's to the tune of about $120,000. I didn't see your consent agenda. Do you have a resignation on here?
Yeah, we're gonna let that go.
You know, but there's, you know, the most notable is probably the salary breakage that we're experiencing with some of the retirements that we have. And we've reduced, help me Sue, I forget if it's .4 we reduced or .6 of a counselor.
0.6.
0.6, we reduced the guidance office by 0.6 FTE. Those are probably the big, points, what's driving it.
Right, and just for your own information, the CDC, the latest figures there, we've added, one of the things that contributed to the drop was a decrease in their.
Yeah, if you actually look, at the last page, although I'm not sure what that 14,259 is there, the second line from the bottom, the CDC assessment as a whole is down $21,000. So, I'm not sure what that other 14, oh, that may be actually their tuition rate. But, and you can see there by departments what's, well, not totally by department, but SU administration's up less than 0.2%. SPED is up 0.75%. The CDC is down, and then the MAU as a whole, the rest of it is up a little over 1 3/4.
Anybody? Dave, you look like you want to ask a question.
How can you tell? No, I was just wondering about projections for student counts next year in the middle and high schools. Are we anticipating an increase, a decrease, more likely?
There's a slight decrease. We handed those out at one meeting. I can definitely get them to the full board at the next meeting. Actually, those, we handed out the drafts, and those just became, our projections just became final a week or so ago. So I'll be able to get you that whole report for all the districts. You can see, like Ken looks at and tracks those trends. You can see what each one of the districts and what's coming into the middle school and high school.
You don't remember off the top of your head what MAUs?
It wasn't a lot, and it's tough.
I can answer.
You remember them
for
off the top of your head?
Yeah, so the sixth grade, the incoming sixth grade is to be between 130 and 135, which is slightly larger than what it's been the first 2 years that I've been here, at roughly 125. Seventh grade is going to be 195 to 200. That is smaller than what we've seen. The current seventh grade is 225. What was supposed to be 225, they've grown during the year. So next year the seventh grade will be 195 to 200, and your eighth grade will be somewhere between 245 and 250 to start the year. The grand total is 570, somewhere in that range. We are currently at 610. But we have a large eighth grade this year. They're also about 250. The one cautionary I would add is that the seventh grade this year was started at 220, and they've kind of chugged along. We're up to close to 250 now as we've gone through the school year. So, and I can't explain to you why. We've just, kids have come in and enrolled in school. So.
I'm really thinking the total increase in the budget or the ed spending is pretty relatively modest in the 2+% range.
Yeah.
When we've been hearing a lot about, spending per pupil and how that's across the state been going up, and we know that our numbers are not as severe as the state average, but just trying to get a sense when we're looking back, in the fall or next year at what that number is going to be like, because if the student count is going down, and it sounds like it will be when you include the high school.
Well, just from what Tim says, we have more eighth coming into ninth than we have leaving as seniors.
Yep.
So if that goes.
And that's a bubble. That class has been a bubble.
Right.
Since kindergarten.
So there'll be I would think there'll be a slight increase then at the high school from that class.
There could be. As a whole, 6 through 12.
Right.
I want to think you're down 20, 21 kids, but again, that's across 7 grades.
Rick, how comfortable are you with the state's rate that they're going to, the dollar that they're going to be charging?
Oh, I'm not at all comfortable with it.
Okay. So I just was looking for variables in this report
Yeah, well,
that we want to consider.
What Tim's referring to, if you look at the multi-town sheet, the 2 numbers to the far right is the base ed spending per equalized pupil at 94.59 and the base homestead tax rate at $1. By law, the Secretary of Taxation, or whatever the title is, has to deliver her estimate to the legislature by December 15th. Those are her recommendations. The legislature usually desires to set them the first couple weeks of January. That never happens. Then their next goal is to have them set by town meeting day. I've seen that maybe 40% of the time. Usually it doesn't get set until very late in the legislative session, sometimes even the last day as they're walking out of the legislature. So, you know, we go to print on our annual report with an estimate, with a statement saying these are the estimates from the Agency of Education, and they can change and very well may change, but we have no control over them.
Sure. Those are the Ed?
One question on this overall sheet. Line 2 is local non-property tax revenue.
Yeah.
What does that consist of?
I'm sorry, what is it?
It says local non-property tax revenue.
Yeah, if you look at your first page of your budget, it is everything except the general state support grant, which is yeah, about 7 or 8 lines down.
Yeah.
It is every revenue stream except that. And the Act 68 calls it local revenue, although very little of it is local revenue.
Okay.
From what yours and my definition would be.
I was thrown off by the word local.
Everybody is.
Are there any other questions or any issues with it that anybody would like to bring up? I'd just like to remind you, I sent out an email that it is too early to warn our budget. The date that we will probably do that will be a week from today, and we'll set a time on that. But in order to do that, I'd like to have a motion to accept the budget as presented. And then at the next meeting, we will move on and warn it. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Thank you very much. The next thing we can do, and I would suggest that we have it, if this is agreeable to you, Rick, have it at central office. Yep. Is 5 o'clock a good time? It'll only take about 10 minutes to do.
You're currently scheduled for next Thursday.
Same time, same day.
No, but it wouldn't break my heart if you did it the same day on Wednesday. I mean, you were currently penciled in on Thursday the 29th. We're talking Wednesday the 28th. But I don't, couple of your
29th
members,
at 7 o'clock is what they're tentatively scheduled for.
yeah, a couple of your members couldn't make it before Thursday, as I recall. But we can talk about it.
Anyway, what's a good time? Is 5 o'clock a good time for you, 6 o'clock?
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday. 5?
Do 5.
5 o'clock? If we have a consensus then,
It should only be a 5-minute meeting.
all we have to do is just warn it and sign the warning. Okay, I don't think we need a motion on that, but anyway, we'll have it at 5 o'clock on the 28th at central office. I'll send out a reminder of that. And Jim, would you or Rick or somebody be sure that
Mary Lee knows, yep.
Mary Lee gets it going?
I abstained on that
Thank you.
budget.
We can move on then.
So, I don't know.
Jim, are you ready?
Or sand.
Where are we?
Where was superintendent's
I'll
report?
let the chair go
Did you do
first.
consent agenda?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
did? Okay.
I can go ahead. I don't have a lot for you tonight, so just some updates, some things I want to. And I apologize first for being here. I either got to get Pownell to move quicker or I have to leave earlier. But we,
Unusual meeting.
Well, I can go on and just, why don't we give Jim a minute? The policy, I had a late note from Leon saying he wasn't going to be able to make this meeting. I would like to postpone the attendance
Just one place?
policy.
Yeah, just once.
I read it quite carefully, and I have a strong feeling that the administration should have the ability to make a decision on a punishment or a implementation of the policy. I think what happens often, you have a policy and you expect it to cover all kids exactly the same. Well, all kids aren't just the same, and the situations aren't always the same. And I think that it's important that we enable our administrators to take a look at the individual cause for a late attendance or something like that. And rather than automatically penalize the student, have some leeway as to what he or she feels is appropriate for the situation. So rather than vote on that now, without Leon being, it seems it's his thing, as we all know, our policies, I'd like to postpone discussion of that. We have grade, I want to go down to C first. Grade advancement. Have you had a chance to look at that? Would anybody like to go over it in more detail, or are we ready to vote on it? Sue or Tim, do you have any comments on it, or are you comfortable with it?
Well, I know I had input into it, you had input into it, so.
I'm fine with it.
You fine with it? Jim, have you had a chance, are you fine with it?
yes.
Okay. You need a motion then
So
to
moved.
accept policy 6350.
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Are we
signify-
warning this for the public at this point, or
This is
adopting
adopted.
it?
This is
For
adopted.
adoption. Been warned.
We warned, yeah, we warned it
Okay.
in October.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Very good. Now, the search and seizure, this is a warning. In other words, this is just to be passed on. To be honest, I did read it. I was a little confused as I read it. Does anybody like?
Jasper has questions about the people qualified is going to be doing, how they're
Yeah.
going to do it. We've had, Lori Mulhern came to one of the meetings, same thing. I think this probably, I think you can warn it, but I think that it
Right. I think it needs.
needs more discussion.
I certainly felt that way. Those people that had a chance to read it, do you have any comments on it, or are you comfortable with the idea of sending it back with some of our concerns?
I think it needs to go back because it wasn't entirely clear to me the way it is written.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will not vote on that, and we'll send it back, and I will get in touch with Leon to go over what this board.
There are some people that want to go to the next policy meeting about this, so find out what the date is and email everybody.
Okay,
I can tell you that date right now.
Oh, okay.
Should be the first Monday of February, which is
The 9th or
Second.
second.
second?
Yeah, it is scheduled for 4:30 at central office
Okay.
on the second.
What do you know?
very good. Jim, are you
I
ready?
am
for
ready.
one more
Yep,
time?
nope, I'll be fine. Okay. First thing I want to talk to you about, and I apologize if I'm going to repeat anything that might have been said in the principal's report, so if I do, I won't be offended if you stop me. I have a lot of concerns about the SBAC test that's coming. I was at a meeting with the Secretary of Education last Thursday, and she said that by that, their hope was by the end of that day, the meeting was in the morning, by the end of that day, by the end of Thursday afternoon, they would sign the contract with the vendor so that the online part of the test and the portal would open and we could move forward. Well, this is Wednesday and that still hasn't happened. The state of Vermont has not signed. Now, this test is coming in March. So what is the Secretary of Education saying? I'm not blaming her. In fact, she's been very supportive. But what she is saying that the message that the Agency of Education wants to get out to everybody is that we need to embrace this test because it's coming. We can't opt out of it. Federal government is requiring it. We risk our title money if we don't do it, so got to do it. But we need to frame it in the fact that it's going to be a benchmark test, and it's not going to be an accurate appraisal of our students' progress. It very well could be an appraisal of our technology as well, more than how our students are going to do on the test. Now, and we have a professional development day planned for this Friday, and it was preparation for the SBAC with the elementary schools was going to be a big part of what we were going to do on that day, and it's not going to be, I think, as detailed with information because we don't have all the information on this test. So what I want to put on everybody's radar is this, and hopefully the Agency of Education is true to their word and that they will get this message out that when the results come out, be careful how you judge performance because one, it's not connected to any other test that we've ever taken. So there's nothing to really compare it to. And two, they are very behind in delivering to us. I mean, the handout that they gave us, the Smarter Balanced Assessments, the first date, the online testing manual was going to be available December 17th, and the training models December 17th, and they continued dates. Secure browser goes live January 6th. Will open be available when the portal opens. All these dates, like just about everything on the front page of this, those deadlines have been missed. And as I said, the test is getting closer. So I want everyone to hear that caution because our principals and our students and our teachers are really up against it on this, and they don't have everything they need to do it. So put on your calendar, if you have nothing to do, on February 9th, that's our next legislative breakfast, central office, 7:45 in the morning. And with everything that's going on, I think a great attendance, a great turnout would be there, and hopefully we can have more legislators attend also. We had 3 at our last one, but there's so much going on in education that they need to hear from you on. So that's February 9th.
Jim?
Yep.
I checked the computer today and it says February 2nd.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I have Mary Lee correct. So did you get a second email from her today? Because the
I
first
haven't
one she
turned it
sent out
on,
was
so
the
I'll
second.
check it tonight.
All right, I hope they corrected it on the
It is the 9th,
website.
though.
Yeah, it is the 9th.
Very good.
The second email.
Yeah, 7:45.
7:45.
The principal search was extended for 1 week. It was going to close last Friday. It's actually going to close this coming Friday to align with how it was posted on the Vermont Principals Association website. So we just extended School Spring one more week. I can tell you that, my practice is never to read any resumes or applications. They're all in so they don't create any bias or anything like that. But there are 18 applications on School Spring right now for the principal's job. 6 are licensed in Vermont, and I think 12 are licensed as principals. So that's the snapshot that I have, but I don't, we'll put the, Joy Cox is putting together the screening committee. She's going to meet with them, I believe, next week, and there's some members from here who will know that. So she is prepared. You're all going to be getting a letter. She prepared a letter outlining what your duties and responsibilities will be. Tim, I understand you do have you completed and returned the updated job description for the vice principal, or did you return that to?
Yeah, I have a conversation with Joy tomorrow, description and job posting.
Okay, good, because then we will move forward with posting and advertising for the vice principal here at the middle school, but we wanted to have an updated job description before we do that. One thing, we're in negotiations, and I don't know if you got a report on that. We'll meet Monday night. It did. One thing I want to add that the Vermont School Board Association, your association, has done, and we're probably going to sign on to that, is a new online master agreement search, so that then we don't even have to go through them. We can log on and search all the contracts statewide and see what is being agreed to. So that's a positive from your association. And the new school calendar, the draft is here. We're going to meet with the Teachers Association tomorrow afternoon. As you probably recall, remember, it's really a regional calendar. So we've been in a series of meetings with area superintendents. By statute, we're supposed to develop a regional calendar that aligns with the technical centers, because multiple high schools send to there. So that's the calendar. We have a different length of school year than many of the districts, so it's impossibly truly aligned. Basically, what will happen is our vacations will be aligned with them, so that a student doesn't miss 2 weeks of education at the technical center. But we have more professional development days, and in some cases longer student school year than many of the districts in there. So that will be coming before the SVSU board soon, but I'm sure everybody wants to see that. So that's another thing that's been occupying my time. And also working on a new instrument for evaluation of school leaders. It's a model that is being developed statewide with some input from the Vermont Principals Association for, that's the term that we use for principals and director level administrative school leaders. So that it was something that was crying out for an update. And the other thing the last thing I'll put on your radar is a term called, and maybe you've heard it before, but proficiency-based graduation requirements. And tied to the Common Core, and supposed to begin with the class of 2020 in high school, that students need to demonstrate a performance in order to graduate from high school. So we have a group of administrators and staff who have been working towards the state is just starting to roll out what this looks like, and we're screaming for some relief from this, because with SBAC, with Common Core, and now proficiency-based graduation requirements, we just feel that they're putting too much on us all at one time, and pick one or the other. But it's again, if you haven't heard the term before, it's one you should start to become familiar with, particularly with the high school, proficiency-based graduation requirements, and that's a rather quick report. So.
Well, that's very good. Any questions for Jim? Dave, I mean?
Jim, just back to your conversation about the SBAC and how it's sort of recalibration, that it's going to be used as a benchmark. It can't be compared to scores that we've had historically. What's your understanding of the federal No Child Left Behind, adequate yearly progress in particular? Are schools going to continue to be assessed in using some other method, or is that no longer hanging over our collective heads?
I don't think there is a clear answer on that, because that's been asked at many of the superintendent, same question at the superintendent meetings, because it's not part of this, so what measure are they going to use under that test? So I'll make a note of it, Dave, but I don't have that answer for you. I am really having a tough time with how much is still up in the air on this test that starts in March, and there's been a lot of good people who statewide have put a lot of time into it, a lot of hard work, but and I just hope that, I feel that we're ready. I feel our technology is ready. I think that we've pre-tested a lot, but I don't see where it's going to compare or line up to anything, and that's going to make it difficult, and we could be judged harshly because of that. That's my concern. One of them.
Dave?
No,
anybody else have a question for Jim? The last thing is setting the February date. Does the 23rd work? the normal date, the third Wednesday, falls during the holiday, and many people won't be here. Did Nathan, right,
Yeah, well, you want to report on that?
Yeah, I'm right. Does don't let me forget.
Okay.
Does that 23rd make as much sense as anything?
The 23rd is the Bennington Select Board joint budget presentation along with the school board.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's at 6 o'clock at the Bennington Fire Station on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd.
What month?
February.
No, February.
I think I have a conflict that particular night.
Okay. Let me get back to you with the possible dates, and then you can check off whatever is the date that most people can make.
We can look at the calendar, we could have Mary Lee send them out an email and we'll get a consensus.
We'll get a consensus to do that in late February.
I mean, Tuesday, it appears Tuesday the 24th is open, but I don't know if you want to do it Tuesday, but.
Sure, well, that's just, if we can get it done tonight, that just saves some time. How about for Tuesday the 24th at 7 o'clock here?
Is Tuesday at the 24th or the 22nd?
February is
24th.
February
24th.
24th is Tuesday.
So I don't see anything on the school meeting calendar right now.
Okay, why don't we tentatively set that for 7 o'clock on the 24th, and when Jim gets back to check with whoever he checks with, if it doesn't work out, we'll let you know. And if not, we'll send you a confirming email. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Nathan, I apologize for...
Yes, and the Agricultural Committee has been working very hard the last couple of months to try to get organized or reorganized so that we know exactly what the trajectory is we're on. And Tim Payne has been working on that.
Thank you. I'll be really quick. I just want to update the board on this, and I apologize for missing the December meeting when I was scheduled to do this. The Agricultural Committee has not asked for an increase of funding for the coming budget year, but what they are working on is reorganizing the money that has been allocated. It's roughly $23,000 in a way that will allow them for next year to make a proposal to the board to hire a part-time farmer or a part-time land manager who would help maintain the school garden, which has continued to grow, and we'll have a greenhouse online in the spring, and we'll have an outdoor classroom online in the spring. And the subcommittee's had lots of conversations where it has really kind of outgrown relying on volunteers and part-time folks getting paid stipends to maintain the property. And so we've had quite a bit of discussions about that. We just want to notify the board of that, of our intent, and that in a future meeting that we would come back with a job description and responsibilities and make further requests to the board.
Very good. Anybody have questions? Tim, just a question. How is the construction going with different projects for the outdoor program?
So the frame of the greenhouse has been put up. We now are waiting for consistent days above 45. That's when they're able to put the actual covering over the top of it. The outdoor classroom, the roof, and the beams have all been put into place. But now that the ground is hardened, what they're waiting for is it obviously to thaw, and they'll put more of the SurePack down, and they'll do some of the landscaping pieces. I have been in contact with the Williams family. They check in on me and send me pictures of warm, sunny places where they're spending their winters. And we're working to have some kind of a ribbon cutting ceremony in the spring and welcome them back to Bennington and open up the outdoor classroom.
That's great. Any questions of Tim or Jim or anybody else? Okay. If there are no other...
Just one thing.
Yes.
Just want to say publicly that, yes, people have asked if we have open teacher negotiations, and we absolutely do. People can come and sit in the audience, but they are not to ask questions or anything, so they can see publicly what's going on, being offered each side. So we do have it. Hopefully in the near future we'll have it televised, but it is open teacher negotiations, so just so people know.
What's holding up and televised?
Oh, the next meeting is 26th. That's Monday.
We need a camera person.
At 4 o'clock at the CDC.
4 o'clock at the CDC. Thank you. I almost forgot.
Okay. If there are no other questions, we need another very short executive session. So we'd have a motion to.
So
go
moved.
For what?
Excuse me?
Personnel.
Personnel.
Yeah, they did that.
I have the high school principal
Okay, you got some.
stay.
Okay, if there are, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, why don't we meet there? So we have- Leon, do you have a minute?
Showing 1.5.